Flores for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to talk about what real-world people in Texas District 17 are saying about Obamacare. Leonard from Waco writes, "Government is too big. No one knows how to lead. Government needs to get out of our lives. Repeal Obamacare. Whatever the cost, it will be less than the negative effect it will have here on this country and on all Americans." Lance and Tamara of Thorndale write, "We would like to express our disdain for the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Although we have health insurance that meets the standard of care, we also know that this health care program will adversely affect many young people who are just starting out in life and may not have adequate care that meets the standard. While we do not believe that taxpayers or health care providers should fund the bill for those who do not have health care, the ACA is clearly not the solution. Any program that federally mandates health care and involves punitive sanctions by way of the IRS on tax returns should be considered a crime. It will neither help the poor nor the wealthy that will suffer the negative impact of this plan, but rather the young, the working, and tax-paying family that earns just enough to survive. We believe that a bad plan is worse than no plan, and Congress should continue to oppose and repeal the ACA, even if it means the continuation of the government shutdown. We received a letter from President Obama in which he clearly blamed the U.S. House for the shutdown and where he accepted no responsibility. We cannot abide by this president and do not support him or his self-serving ideologies. John from College Station writes, "No to Obamacare." Mike from Hewitt writes, "Please hold the line against the Affordable Care Act. Do not give in." Barry from Pflugerville writes, "As you know, the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act was passed in the middle of the night and without the support of the American people. I'm calling on you as one of your constituents to stop this legislation by defunding its implementation until the law can be repealed and replaced with legislation that benefits the citizens of the United States of America. You were elected in office to represent the values and needs of those of us who live in your state and your district. The passage of this legislation was an abdication of oath that the lawmakers took when sworn into office, and I hope that you will do the right thing now and stop the law from being fully implemented and will work to enact real reform for our health care system based on free market principles, not government interference. Americans enjoy the best health care system in the world, and this legislation harms the very people it is intended to help." Marilyn from College Station writes, "I urge you to stand firm and do all that you can to repeal, defund this law that is a disaster to employers, employees, and our health care system." Jack from Woodray writes, "Mr. Flores, please do all in your power to help fund the government, and please do not fund Obamacare. As seniors, we cannot afford the increased premiums for our insurance coverage." Tanya from Waco writes, "I am a small business owner in Waco. I built my business from nothing, and I see the horrible ramifications of Obamacare on small business. Please stand strong and fight to defund Obamacare." Deborah from Bryan writes, "The president's health care must be defunded before it destroys our economy, our workforce, and our health care system and our way of life. My insurance will increase 42% in 2014, and who knows where it goes from there. As a citizen of the United States, I do not want my tax dollars to fund a train wreck. We simply cannot afford it. Please convince your fellow representatives they are destroying the working class. There is no way this is good for all of us." A young man from Brazos County writes, "My current premium for a family plan with a $5,000 deductible costs $360 per month. This was canceled due to Obamacare. When trying to apply for Obamacare, he got two new quotes. The first was one with a $12,700 deductible and cost $691 a month. When he tried to find a lower deductible, he found an option with a $4,500 deductible at a cost of $854 per month. Again, essentially the same coverage for almost 2.5 times what he was paying before." Mr. Speaker, since September the 20th, the House has approved on a bipartisan basis 8 bills to fund all or part of the federal government. But all but one of these have been blocked by Harry Reid in the Senate. Mr. Speaker, during this process, my colleagues and I have been called arsonist, anarchist, extremist, extortionist, and terrorist. In addition, we've been told that we have bombs strapped to our chest. When I was growing up, I was taught that if you were calling people names, then that meant you had nothing meaningful to say. This fight is about fairness, Mr. Speaker. First, the Americans believe that if a delay for business that gave them $14 billion worth of benefit was good enough for business, it ought to be good for everybody by delaying the individual mandate for a year. Secondly, if Obamacare is good enough for the American people, it is good enough for the President, the Vice President, and all members of Congress. Mr. Speaker, I ask that all Americans pray for our country during these times.